Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen table. Today on the kitchen table, a product review, the Epson Moverio BT-200 mobile viewer, and specifically on how we can use it with the Vision or the Vision Plus, but also a bit more than that. This is a considered purchase and, can use it for other things. But before we go any further, as is the tradition on the channel, we must have a beverage while we're discussing this. Back to Europe today, we have this rather nice Rioja Finca Manzanos 2013 one, and it's very tasty indeed. So before we go any further, cheers. So yes, I have in particular to thank one of my channel patrons for sorting this out. For those of you who don't know, I have a campaign on Patreon at patreon.com/Newton, which is basically for people who kind of like the ethos of what I do and want to support the kitchen table videos and support me being able to stay completely independent of manufacturers and retailers. There's no hidden agendas and all that kind of stuff. And so there's some people who make small regular contributions towards that over there. And one of them is called Barry. And Barry very brilliantly saw that I did a video when these were first released earlier in the year, just kind of speculatively thinking, well, this would be quite a good idea to use with your Vision, and but didn't get my hands on any. And he kept badgering Epson, bless him, in a very nice and polite way. And Epson got hold of me and said, look, they fully subscribe to the kitchen table ethos, and they have turned around and said, have a set of these to review, no strings attached, no expectations, no nothing, just have fun, was what the very nice lady Epson said. So that's what we're going to do. The way I'm going to run this review is pretty much in the order that I suspect you'll be interested in. 1, how does it work with the Vision app, and does it work with the Vision app, and is it going to be useful to use? 2, the kind of logistics of using it, the ergonomics. Does it fit if you wear glasses? Are they comfortable? That kind of stuff. And then 3, I'm going to talk about whether or not you can use it for anything else, because these are a bit of a considered purchase. And so it would, of course, be useful if they could do more than the one thing. So that's how we're going to take things forward. So without further ado, let's go from here. So rather unusually for a review, and again, because this is an independent review, let's start with the price. Let's start with the downside. Now, the recommended price that Epson set is $699 US, or 569 UK pounds sterling. And of course, we over here get stuffed on that because that certainly isn't a direct price conversion, but never mind. I've seen them cheaper, and there are a couple of deals on at the moment in various places. I will put a link down in the description to various retailers that I've found where you can buy them: Amazon, pre-launch, the Epson website. Have a look at those, search around if there's something that you're interested in. So for that money, what do you get? Well, you get the package in this nice protective case. This is what you get. This is basically the guts of the unit. You have the glasses, a couple of selections of tinted shields for the front, which we'll talk about. You get the cable, which has this is where the audio socket is as well, and then this connects to the brains of the thing. Basically, what you're buying here is an Android-powered set of virtual reality, augmented reality kind of glasses, kind of similar to Google Glass, except these are sort of look through rather than project down, and it's running an Android system. You have a touch screen here, you have the usual sort of Android buttons, and when you boot it up, it's running a version of Android 4. Now, what makes these particularly suited for flying an aircraft is the way that you see the app. If I remove the sunshade from the front, you can see you have a completely clear lens, and you can see though you have these angled little pieces in here which are taking the projected image. See how thick they are? Taking the projected image, firing it off, and then into your eye. You wear these obviously over your nose. These are fully adjustable for fit your nose here. and they also come with some, if you want to help make you fit, they come with these sort of rubber hooks that you can put over your ears and so on and so forth. So let's talk about, more importantly, does it work with the app and how does it work? Now I can't show you this because there's no way of getting getting video out of this thing. I put on the screen as I talk a few stills and some close-ups of what you get and how it comes packaged, and I've got one where I've tried to take a photo through the viewer, but it's not really kind of worked. It doesn't do it justice. So the first thing to say is yes, it does work. You see pretty much a tablet version, and I'm doing, oh, you can just see, yeah, it's not going to focus. You can see a tablet style version of the app, and basically it projects it kind of in about, to me anyway, and apparently it can change depending on your eyes and everything else, it looks like about a 40-inch screen viewed from about 6 to 8 feet away, and it floats in front of your view. Now what that means is that you can be flying around, you can actually look kind of above or below that screen in your vision and see your aircraft. And then you can simply focus on the center of your view to have a look at what you're seeing through the Vision app's preview. The touchpad here means that this is kind of size of a standard mobile phone, which means it will fit on the clamp on the transmitter. The only thing I've found with that is that it only although the app displays on the glasses in landscape, the trackpad here, touchpad, only works in portrait. So if you turn it that way and do this, the cursor on the screen will be moving upwards. So you do sort of need to mount it that way on the phone holder. It's not too much of a deal, and to be honest, you know, once you just get used to the fact that you've got portrait here rather than matching up with the landscape, the sensitivity is such that all the way across in here is still all the way across on the screen. So that was fine. So what you see kind of floating in front of you is the screen. Now it comes with a selection of shades. It came fitted with this kind of very lightly smoked kind of shade here, and I found that pretty much unless you're in a darkened room, pointless. Unless you're in a darkened room, if you want to go anywhere near daylight, never mind sunlight, just daylight, put these darker ones on. They're really easy to chop and change. You just literally pop them in at an angle, he says, fluffing it up. We're going to keep that in. Popping it in at an angle and little snap, and then they go on like that. That makes the screen nice and bright. And I found that I could use that in all but direct sunlight. It was pretty good. Indoors, it's sometimes a bit too bright, and you can adjust the brightness down slightly. So that's in the sort of menu settings. In terms of performance, it runs Android 4. I'm not sure on the processor speed in there, but it ran the preview at 15 frames a second and 640 without a problem. Running it at 640 and 30 was okay, but it was a little bit more stuttery at distance. I found running 640 preview at 15 frames was optimum for quality. Running the lower resolution at 30 was optimum for sort of smoothness. So it's that balancing act. But it works. It's a special version of the app, which means that some things I couldn't get to work. Now, this may be because I haven't been doing it right, but I'm pretty certain that actually they're not available. Now, although the unit has a GPS receiver, which is great, which means you can use the, you should be able to use things like dynamic home point. I found a couple of anomalies. One, if I pressed on the radar to bring that up on the screen, it just went back to the main menu, and I can't get into waypoints. Now, I don't know if that's a bug or the fact that it's not supported on this app, but that's something to bear in mind. At the moment, it may just be something I'm doing wrong. I'll look into that, but certainly as it stands, I can't get into waypoints and I can't bring up the radar screen. but that's the only thing I found. Everything else is just as if you had your touch screen there. You can just use your thumb or your finger to swipe around and change the parameters. Tilt works. Changing from video to stills works. Other than that, it's running the latest version of the app. You've got the battery detector and everything else. And if you plug in the supplied little stereo headphone microphone thing into the socket that comes on the lead there, then you can hear all your usual warnings and low battery klaxon going off and all that kind of stuff. What's it like to fly? I quite enjoyed it, actually. Those of you who've been watching for a while know I don't do the full FPV. It's illegal to fly beyond line of sight in this country anyway, and I use a screen on my P2 for framing, but I like to keep the aircraft within visual range and just keep my sort of situational awareness and use it like that. I actually found these pretty good. It was easy to just kind of look away from the floating app, if you like, and locate the aircraft. It meant that your situational awareness was great because you're constantly moving. I found it basically very similar to using the screen, the Black Pearl screen on my P2, except instead of having to look down towards my controller where the monitor sits and then back up again, I was just literally having to move my eyes a very tiny bit. That worked really well, and I quite enjoyed it, I have to say. I didn't find any major issues with performance. It seems to work fine. I didn't sort of try and push the range or anything like that. But yeah, the image is projected nicely. You can, once you've got used to the sensitivity of the trackpad and everything, you can quite easily do a bit of tilting. It's not quite as intuitive as being able to just press the button on your phone in front of you, but every time you put a finger on, you do get a little cursor which shows you where you're touching. So again, once you've hovered over the switch, you just press and hold and tilting up and down and so on and so forth. It was a nice experience. I enjoyed being able to keep eyes on the aircraft whilst seeing exactly what was being filmed. And hooning around. And for those, for example, who live in the UK, where you have to keep unaided visual contact with your aircraft at all times, that is in the air navigation order, that's the law, then this is kind of the ideal compromise, because you do keep your eyes on the aircraft at all times, but you can also see what the aircraft is seeing within your field of view. Now, you still need to be safe and sensible and keep your awareness, but I found it a lot easier to keep situational awareness, having that kind of ability to see past the screen, than if, for example, you had a completely enclosed set of video goggles. I just became, after a while, it became obvious just to kind of quickly glance up at the aircraft, check the orientation matched with what I was seeing, and yeah, so that was really good. Next thing we need to talk about is how they actually feel and how they work. So the glasses themselves, the unit that's going to rest on your nose, weigh just under 100 grams. I stuck them on my scales. They're just under 100 grams, which is, there's definitely some weight to them, but it's not massively excessive. And as I say, they do provide a few things that mean you can get a fairly comfortable fit. So the first thing, you've got these rubber ear hooks that can go on the back, and you can slide these up and down and adjust them so they're sort of resting on the back of your ears and you're not getting a tip forward, a slide off your nose. The other thing is that the nose piece here is completely flexible. It's got a bit of sort of, memory to it, so you can bend it, you can twist them, you can basically make it fit completely. Now, one of the things I was really, really curious to try is I wear glasses. I don't do contact lenses. I've got glasses, and I was concerned that it would be a nightmare. And what they say is, look, we've made these work with glasses. So I thought, well, here's a test. So here's one of my pairs of glasses. I've got kind of very similar style to these. And what I found works, and they basically say whatever works for you. Put your glasses on first, slip these over, move these out the way, move these on your nose, do whatever. What I found works for me, but trial and error, is actually if I slip my glasses up and use these to hold them in place, you actually get a pretty good fit. You've got to just make sure that the eye focus is in where those where the screens are, and then I slip that on. I tried with the ear hooks, and they sort of, I don't know, 50-50 about those. So that works. It's not ideal, and the reason it's not ideal for me is that because of the shape of my glasses, where the focus point is, means that it's ever so slightly shifted left or right. So when I look at the center of the screen it's in front of me, it's pin sharp and really nice. If I glance to the side, perhaps where the tilt buttons are, or to the other side, just want to have a quick look at those percentages on the battery, it's ever so slightly out of focus because it's just moving out of that sweet spot. So fair play to Epson. It does work with glasses, even sort of, you know, these shaped ones. It does say, I think, a maximum of 5 inches across frame styles it will work with. Now, I found that I could actually adjust this. I tried a few experiments with getting rid of those nose pieces altogether, but they do work with glasses. However, if you're going to get these, what I suggest you do, and this is quite a nice touch, Epson have included these frames in the kit. And these are basically for you to go to your local eye care professional and give them those and get them to make lenses that fit your exact prescription. And then those can fit inside here, and they then line up against the glasses, and you can use these nose pieces and it will be more sort of perched on your nose to your fit. So I think if you're going to go, if you wear spectacles and you want to keep on doing them and you want to use these on a sort of regular basis, that's probably something worth doing, but you need to factor that into the cost. But full marks for including that as a solution, because quite often lots of the other goggles that are out there don't have that kind of adjustment. You have to either get lenses that they supply, which may or may not be this one to your prescription, stick it in there, and they don't have to be expensive super coated lenses or anything. So that's really good. Without wearing glasses, I found it was quite easy after a bit of trial and error to use these movable nose pieces to get things resting in a really comfortable way. Obviously for me it wasn't in focus because I need the glasses, but you know, I even tried them on my son, who is 8, and you know, with the ear hooks and getting these closed up down to quite small, he could even wear them and have a bit of a laugh with those. They do get tiring to wear after a while if you're sort of standing up and flying, because of the weight. If you are sitting down at home, sort of leaning back slightly, and the weight is a bit less sort of on the front of your nose, then it's a lot more comfortable. And I think if you were going to watch a movie on this or some YouTube or something, and you were sitting down and just chilling out with these on, it would be, you know, you wouldn't notice that quite so much. So that's interesting. One of the things that it can do, because it's got 2 cameras, it can do a pseudo 3D. Not, I hasten to add, with this, because that would just be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Can you imagine a 3D view? But some of the apps that come with it, and we'll talk about those in a minute, they are in sort of false 3D. So as you're looking around, there are, I don't know, weird aliens coming at you in 3-dimensional kind of view. So that's a bit of a gimmick, but you know, technically, and I haven't yet fully tried it, technically if you found a video source that was in 3D, then you would be able to use these. Talking of video sources comes on to the sort of the last point is can you use these sensibly for things other than flying? Because these are a considered purchase. It would be quite good if you could, wouldn't it, at that sort of price? And the answer is yes and no. And I think this may or may not be an issue for some people. This is not a Google certified device, so you do not get the Google Play Store. Okay. That means you don't get the Google apps either. So you don't get easy access to YouTube apps and that sort of thing. But you do get a fully featured web browser, so you can actually just do things in the web browser full screen. So watching YouTube videos, that sort of thing is fine. Watching sort of, you know, anything that you can get on a browser, a mobile browser, you can watch through these. Would have been great, of course, if you have a Google Play account, you could have gone into Google Movies and watched them there, but you can't currently. Now I believe, and Epson probably won't like me saying it, or neither would Google, but I believe if you have a quick Google search around, you'll find people who have hacked these a little bit to put the Google apps and the store on here. So what there is though is there is an Epson Moverio store where you find the Vision app. So it's not on the and that's because it's a version that's specially made for this. So for example, it's always in landscape mode. It doesn't, there are some things that need to be done to apps to make them work with this because it isn't a phone or a tablet. So the Vision app was easy to find, and if you're used to the Android operating system, it's very much the same. One thing it does have there under here is it has a micro SD card slot. So basically it also has a USB port. So basically you can plug this into your computer and it will show up as a drive, and you can drag and copy any video and audio files that you've got, and it will take most of the usual suspects. It will play natively. You can then also just transfer over with SD card. So in that sense, if you've got something already, then you can transfer it over to here, and that's fine. However, the device does have its own Miracast app built in, so it does support any device that you own that uses the Miracast format, which means you can then stream across your network whatever you've got on the display. If you don't have any devices that use that, then you can buy an optional, at additional cost, adapter for these that you plug into a device, and it will then take the output and convert it and stream it. So if you're already set up to do something with Miracast, which is built into some TVs and DVD players and so on and so forth, then you may be able to get content sort of directly to this. Quality wise, I quite enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not Epson says the size of the perception of the screen will vary depending on you and your eyes. As I said, to me, it's about a 40-inch screen from about 6 feet away. It floats in the middle of my vision, and it's very sharp and very bright, and the quality is good. It's not full HD quality, but then you are talking about something that's being projected into your eyes. And the side benefit, I suppose, is that if you want to reach down to take a drink of your delicious Rioja, you can do so without knocking it over because you can see where it is. It's also slightly less kind of, less of a social kind of, I'm isolated because I'm in my goggles that I can't see out of. But beyond that, it's going to run most standard media that you can put onto it. It doesn't have HDMI in. You can't stick anything else in here other than the goggles. So you are slightly limited in that respect. However, I enjoyed the experience, and as I said, if you're watching a film or YouTube videos or something, sitting down, slightly reclined back, the weight comes off the front a little bit, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I can't make a recommendation on it because there's too many factors. If you wear glasses or not, if you are bothered by having things on your nose or not, if you are concerned about the lack of Google Play Store or not, and the price is what the price is. However, from the pure concept of does it work with the Vision Plus app, yes it does, and I think quite successfully and quite enjoyably. And if you were looking for something that was a sort of a more immersive FPV solution without completely going down the goggles route, these are definitely worth a look. My understanding is that DJI are working with Epson, which is why the Vision app is on the Epson store, and therefore future versions of the app should transfer over, provided they all stay compatible with the version of Android that's in here. I think that's about it. It's been quite a long one, but I figured at this price it deserved a bit more of an in-depth look. I will continue to play with them and have a bit more. If you've got any questions or you want any more feedback on features that I haven't thought of or something that I've missed out, which is inevitable on these kitchen table videos, I've missed something out, please put comments down below, send me a private message, chat to me on my Patreon stream if you're a patron, emails, the usual stuff. So there we are. So that's big thank you to Epson for sending those through. That's much appreciated, and especially for sending them through with no strings attached. You get it. Well done. Thank you to my patrons, and especially to Barry for their work in bringing it to us. And thank you for watching. And until next time, I will see you again soon back on the kitchen table. Cheers.